So today we're going to talk about general education requirements. Specifically, we're going to look at the claim that current general education requirements fail to provide the best value for higher education. Now, since GEs have always been required, it's hard to get direct data on the effect of general education for higher education. So we'll have to do our data gathering a little more indirectly. Our first supporting point is that employers currently place a higher value on areas of specialty than on general education. According to a survey by the U.S. Census Bureau, average earnings by degree in 2007 are as follows. High school diploma graduates made about $31,000. Associate's degrees made about $40,000. Now, an associate's degree is made up of about 60 units total. 30 of those units are GE units. So 50% of that degree are GE units. Next, we have bachelor's degrees, which made about $57,000, but only 35 to 37% of a bachelor's degree is made of GE units. Finally, we have a master's degree, which earned about $70,000, and even lower, 28 to only 30% of the degree is made of GE units. So the data shows that employers value higher levels of education, which is pretty intuitive. But underneath that, we see that with the higher levels of degree, there's a smaller proportion of GE units that's required for that. So this shows that employers value the field of specialty rather than just the general knowledge that's provided by GE requirements. Second point is that the value of general education in the workforce is diminished over time. A special topic publication by the U.S. Census Bureau in 2000, which a special topic is, instead of just all raw data, they'll collect some of the data and actually try and make some inferences about it. So the special topic publication by the U.S. Census Bureau in 2000 provides a ratio of earnings by degree compared to the earnings of high school graduates in the same year. So high school graduation earnings are the baseline. And the time span is from 1975 to 1999. I'll spare you the gritty details, we'll just do the endpoints. So in 1975, people with college experience or associate's degrees only earned about 1.2 times the amount that high school graduates earned. People with bachelor's degree earned 1.5 times the amount, and people with a master's degree earned 1.8 times the amount. And to give you a little context, if a high school student earned, or a high school graduate earned $30,000 in 1975, someone who earned 1.5 times that, which is a bachelor's degree, earned $45,000. So, at the end of that, 1999, so about almost 25 years later, people with some college experience or associate's degrees earned only 1.25 times the earnings that high school graduates earned. People with bachelor's degrees earned 1.75, which is up from 1.5. And people with master's degrees earned 2.5 times the earnings, which is almost double the 1975 ratio. So what we're seeing is that there's a growing gap between the higher degrees and the degrees that have more general education in them. We call that a divergence. So we see that the higher degrees have greatly increased in value since 1975, while the associate's degree, which has the highest percentage of GE units in it, has stayed mostly stagnant. So this divergence indicates that the increasing value of field specialty, that there is an increasing value in field specialty. We can state that conversely and say that there's a decreasing value of general education when compared with the higher degrees. If the value of the GEs are decreasing, then they must not be the best value. So we've seen that employers place a higher value on areas of specialty rather than on general education, and we also saw that the value of general education in the workforce is diminished over time. So we're only left with the conclusion that current general education requirements fail to provide the best value for higher education.
All right, I think the proposition still ends up being a little bit vague, particularly in what you mean by some of the terminology, like value and what the relative values are going to mean. Now, in the context of the argument, you've got an explanation of how you're going to interpret that, and it's basically in terms of employers' desire for specialized degrees or advanced work in particular categories. And by necessity, it's diluting the value of the other things. And I'm not exactly sure that the inference that you're making there is effective. It sounds like a kind of equivocation that's going on there. Since the others have increased, then the first must have decreased. Although it may not have changed in proportion, in significance in other ways, in terms of the totality, it is reduced. Well, that's just a statistical truism, especially if you have people who get advanced degrees since they finish their GE requirements, and everything past that simply adds to the total. So I think that there's a little bit of math magic going on here to support your argument. And speaking of the math magic, boy, did we get a whole bunch of statistics, and they seem to be belaboring the point over and over again about the income ratios based on the degrees that people have. I think you make the point very effectively there. That's where most of your information is, and you explain how you're making your inferences very clearly. I'm just not sure that that inference is exactly sound the way that you have portrayed it there. I think you speak very effectively to the audience, but there needs to be a heck of a lot more structure to the argument, because it really seems to revolve around just the statistical information instead of a series of inferences. You've got some explanations of the statistics, but they aren't really identified as claims, and there's not a structure for those. All right, thank you.